My next guest describes her work as acupuncture for houses because she is a feng shui expert. Suzanne Harper, hi, welcome to the programme.
Hello, Simon.
I would have thought that if you had limited funds, the last thing you would spend it on is a feng shui expert.
Well, if you're going to work from home, as this lady obviously is, then it's a very, very good investment because you obviously want to make sure that your business prospers as well as you're having a harmonious home.
Right, well, explain to me, because I know feng shui, I've talked about it a few times, but what exactly is feng shui?
The words mean wind and water, and it's about creating harmony within your dwelling, and the idea is that the harmony will attract good fortune. So you can imagine, obviously, for a business, this becomes very important because it influences the bottom line.
Now, Martin, have you ever kind of considered feng shui in the magazine?
Haven't done. Perhaps it's something we should be looking at.
Ah, you see, well, pay attention, pay
Wonderful.
attention. Well, who can use feng shui then?
Anyone can. It doesn't matter whether you live in a caravan, a tent or a palace. I've actually helped someone design their own boat.
Really?
Yes.
So it can, is as big as you like and as small as you like?
As small as you like. The principles are the same. As long as you have the principles, then the idea is to use them to create harmony.
Now, it sounds to me as if you're starting from scratch and building a home like Martin and I were talking about earlier on, it's a great thing to do because you can get everything just right. But if you're like most of us and you've already bought your home, is it impossible to feng shui it?
Well, one of the leading experts in the world, a woman called Lillian Tu, says if you get it 65% right, that's all you can manage.
So it doesn't need to be 100% right?
It doesn't need to be 100%, thank goodness. Nobody has to be perfect.
Nobody's perfect.
Yeah.
So what sort of things should we be looking out for? Can you give us some practical tips?
Is this for someone who's building from scratch?
Well, I think so, because we've been talking about that. Or even somebody who's doing some DIY, maybe reorganising rooms or putting in a new doorway or a window or something like that.
Okay, well, let's say you're building from scratch. The first important thing to think of, first of all, is the direction that you move to, first of all, because that influences your money. And as you said, the most important thing is that you don't run out of money. So you need to take some advice about that. The next thing you want to try and do is to keep the passageways clear and uncluttered, and make sure when you build your front door that you don't place a toilet door immediately opposite it. I actually advise people not to buy homes like that.
Right, well now what's wrong with having a toilet just near the front door? Because I've got one.
Yeah, you're describing my house too.
I've got a toilet near the front door.
Near the front door is one thing. We're talking about 180 degrees opposite. You may not have that formation. It's quite unusual, in fact.
And what would be bad about that?
It tends to be somewhat unlucky, generally.
Well, you trip as you're going in through the front door into the toilet or something.
The idea is you try and keep the energy of the toilet out of the rest of the house, because a toilet represents water and therefore money going down the drain. And you're always trying to conserve money. Feng Shui is very practical. The idea is for people to prosper.
And is that why my wife always says put the toilet lid down after I've been?
It's another reason for her to say that.
Is it really?
It's another
It
reason.
stops my wealth disappearing down the plug hole then, does it?
Absolutely right. Absolutely right.
What would be the worst thing that you can do according to feng shui principles in the home?
Well, I wouldn't want to have a toilet in the wealth area. That wouldn't be terrific. And I probably wouldn't like it in a cash flow area either. In terms of the worst possible thing, it's clutter everywhere, actually. That is the worst thing. If you've got, even estate agents will say that if you're trying to sell a house, it's very difficult to sell if everywhere's cluttered. So the one thing I would say that is crucial above all else is keep the clutter down to an absolute minimum.
So that's not only practical advice, but as far as feng shui is concerned,
It's very good.
it's very good. Well, Suzanne, thanks very much. And Martin, thank you very much indeed.
you.
Right, well, we've still got lots more coming up. And here's what's coming up later on.